Hello, business owners and managers. Wess Walters here. So this video or this quasi training is because I've been getting the same question repeatedly. I've received the same question repeatedly within the last 2 weeks. I'm talking about 8 times within the last 2 weeks. So after the 7th DM and the 7th email, I said, hey, how about I just do a training on it? That way, I don't have to answer the question one by one because that's very taxing on my time. So the question is, Mr. Walters, we're having a problem with our hires. These candidates look amazing on paper. Shout out to ChatGPT. And some of them even interview well. Shout out to ChatGPT as well, because obviously these candidates are just typing into ChatGPT, hey, what are the 5 best questions I should ask? Or what are the 5 questions I should be prepared to answer in an interview? So you see how that works, why they're acing the interview and their resume looks flawless. However, Mr. Walters, what we're running into is these candidates do not last. They don't last. They're not lasting through probation. And most of them are terminated. And I know exactly what you're experiencing. And you're going to continue to see a rise in that because of, remember back in the day, and I hate to date the videos, but remember back in the day when having a government job was considered stable, whether that's government on the local level, local government or federal government. If you had a government job, you were pretty solid. You could, guarantee, especially if you're up north with the union, you could guarantee that, hey, long as you show up in time, do your little job, you can get 20 years out of this and retire with a pension. Remember that? Well, those days are gone because the layoffs are starting with the federal government. It's crazy. So hence why we're here right now, where there are a lot of people that are looking for jobs. A lot of people are looking for jobs. Now, you see how this universe is all connected, how it works is because not too long ago, this was the employees or the candidates had the upper hand. They were demanding, well, I only want to work 1 day a week, and I want to be able to work from anywhere in the world, and I'm not coming into the office. And what are the incentives do you have for employees to want to work with you? Remember, that was a couple years ago. Now, total switch. That's why you have to understand the ebbs and flows of business, the ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship. And that's why it's always good to stay humble, because the person that you're defecating on can be that same person that you need to help you. Hence where we are. So let's get right into the training. So the training is about, instead of just turning it into bad hires, I'm gonna turn it into the vital role HR plays in new hires. That's what we're gonna call it. Yeah, the vital role that HR plays in affecting the customer experience. There you go. So let's begin. The first thing you want to look out for is, number 1, if that employee is tardy for the interview. Yes. And this applies even if it's virtual. It doesn't matter. If the employee is tardy. Now, I was a hiring manager sometime in my life, so I understand how your knee-jerk reaction is to offer grace, because we've all been late before. Yes, I understand. However, look at it as divine intervention. This is the universe, God telling you that this is what you're signing up for. That doesn't mean this potential candidate is this potential employee is a bad person. It doesn't mean they're a bad person, because I have been late before. We've all been late before. However, this is the first indication of what you as an employer is signing up for. They're tardy. This is not a one-time event. No. If you want to use numbers, because in data we trust, this employee thus far has a 100% chance of showing up late. They're 1 for 1. They're 0 for 0, to be honest. Do you want to invest in something like that? It doesn't mean this employee is a bad person. It simply means that they're not a good fit for your organization, because the people at your organization, they show up on time and they get the job done. And if you've been following the channel long enough, you know about what I say. On time meaning if you got to work at 8 o'clock, you don't show up at 8 o'clock. You're late. You can't text from the parking lot saying, I'm parking at 8 o'clock. No. Work begins at 8 o'clock. So you have to be here before 8 o'clock if you start work at 8 o'clock. So number one red flag, which you should not ignore, is tardiness. Another red flag. During the interview, if this employee is bad-mouthing former jobs, if this employee is bad-mouthing former employers, red flag, because guess what they're going to do when they're no longer working for you? There's a quote that says, never trust someone who talks about, or who gossips, because when you're not there, you're the subject of the gossip. If they are bad-mouthing their former employer, it's a red flag, man. Red flag. Yes, I'm all about burning bridges, but just because you burn bridges, you don't have to talk about the bridges that you burn. Burn the bridges, move on with your life. It's a huge red flag if they're bad-mouthing that past employer. Number 3, lack of references. If they have a lack of references, that is a red flag. Now, either of these by themselves, you're like, it's nothing. However, when they're compounded together, when you have all 3 and more we're going to add, you're going to see how detrimental, and you're going to see how these are not only red flags, but these are glowing in the dark red flags, where you can say, hey, one of these by themselves is bad, but all of these combined lets me know that this is a bad hire. All right, moving along. Now that this employee has passed, they showed up on time, they're not bad-mouthing the former employer, and they have lots of references. So you called, hey, Johnny is a good guy, hire him, right? All right. So now let's move into effective onboarding practices that will save you a lot of time and money, because we all know the average cost of a new hire is north of $5,000. And that's probably old data. So in this day and age, it's probably north of $7,000 for a new hire. So effective onboarding practices. What you want to have in place for this new hire is a structured schedule. Structured schedule, meaning while they're in probation, they know, excuse me, that of course this is my in time and out time, and what's required of that employee during this probation. That needs to be very clear. You don't want to be all doing things willy-nilly, and when they get there, you're like, hey, do this, and then when they're done with this, come back and check with me, do this. No, you don't want that micromanagement. That looks bad for you as a business owner. So you want to be sure that you have a structured schedule for this new employee. Number 5. You want to be sure that you engage with your new hires, because although jobs are scarce right now, I don't want to beat up. I'm tired of beating up on the Gen Zers. Let's just say younger employees, employees that don't have gray in their beard. You have to keep them entertained. Not entertained. You have to keep them engaged. And you want to start building the excitement before they hire, actually before they begin. So they got the job, you gave them the thumbs up, hey, we're going to hire you. The engagement starts then. Even before, like, let's just say they don't begin until 2 weeks, because they want to give their current employer a 2 weeks notice. So they're not going to be available to start until 2 weeks. In that 2 weeks period, you want to engage that employee. You want to let them know, give them a little bit, having them salivating about the possibility of starting their new job, their new position with the new company culture. So you want to do that. That is not something that you want to look over at all. My brother, personal experience, my brother got hired for a firm, and in that 2 weeks period, another firm saw him and be like, yeah, we want you. We'll pay for the moving costs that they're paying. We'll reimburse them. We want you. If that first employer was engaging my brother, keeping him engaged, in addition to offering him more money, that would have never happened. So someone came and yanked their star player right from underneath them. All right, number 6, which is vital, is you want to be sure that the new hire has the necessary tools that they need to perform their job correctly. Like I said earlier, you don't want that employee, that new hire, to show up and they don't even have a desk space. Many times I've been working on site with clients, and I witnessed the new hire starting that day. No desk. No desk. The new hire is literally sitting with their own personal laptop in the foyer, in the lobby. No desk. Or employee starts, no login information. We got to check with IT. There's no credentials. That's a very, very, very poor look for your company. And if that employee has options, which most of them don't do right now, but if they do, once the pendulum swings again back to the other side, when they do have options, they're going to be like, if they're going to treat me like this, they knew I was coming for 2 weeks. I gave them 2 weeks to get ready for me. I told them, hey, hired, I can't start for 2 weeks because I got to give my current employer a 2 weeks notice. And they're still not ready. So if that employee has options, they're going to be like, it's not a good fit for me, but I wish you well. I wish you well. I wish you the best. So you want to be sure that they have their tools in place. Email is set up. Desk, computer that they're using. If they do a special type of job, that special type of tool is ready to go on day one. So these are some of the things that, again, one of these by themselves, you're like, not a red flag. When you put them all together, you realize that, yes, that was a poor hire, and we should take ownership for that. All right, now that we see how detrimental hiring the wrong employee or a wrong hire, what that can do to your organization, let's talk about the long-term effect of a bad hire. The long-term effects of a bad hire. All right, so the first negative effect of a bad hire is their effect on the company's culture. Man, let's listen. Listen and listen well. One bad apple, not two, just one. One bad apple, or in this case, one bad fruit, can contaminate the entire bowl of fruit. We all know that. Just one. Now, offering grace, this is where it gets you in trouble, because you think, if I just give them a little longer, if I give them a little more time, this employee is going to turn around. That's what you're thinking, because you're offering grace. Now, this goes into a lot of different reasons why the person who's your hiring manager should not be a person that's all forgiving and lovey-dovey. they're going to run your business to the ground. You want someone who's decisive, who's a no-nonsense type of woman or guy, and that if you mess up, these are the rules, and if you break these rules, you're out. So, having the wrong hire can negatively affect the company culture. You're like, things were all so beautiful, and then Johnny came along, and everything changed. So, number one, and this is major, affects the company culture in a negative way. Number two, the long-term effects of the wrong hire. Let's talk about that money. Did the research. The average cost of a new hire is $4,100. So $4,000, gone, pixie dust, poof. Every 30 days you're wasting $4,000. So we can see how that adds up. So the financial part of it, you can always make more money. If I had to choose which one is the worst, yeah, money is bad. Losing money is bad. Nobody likes to lose money. But you can get more money. Corroding the culture that you have taken all these years to create, to have one bad person come in and contaminate the rest employees and then ruin and change the company culture, that's heavy lifting that's going to require you to hire Wess Walters. So you don't want to do that, all right? All right. So you didn't listen to all of the cues, all of the clues, and you hired that employee anyway. Or let's just say you hired that employee before watching this video, all right? And now you're at the crossroad where you've given enough grace. You're watching your company culture just wither away. You're seeing your star players leave. So here it is. You're losing star players before them because they're like, this is not what I signed up for. I remember the heyday of this company when Mr. Johnson would care about who he hired. And now this does not represent me. I'm all about excellence, so I'm going to take my excellence somewhere else. So yes, you lost your star employee. Now you're rambling. Now the light bulb goes off. You have an aha moment. You're like, oh, maybe I should get rid of Johnny. And Johnny's over there like, I'm going to ruin this entire organization and I'm not going to stop until it's in rubbles. He's saying that subconsciously with his actions. So, managing employees' terminations. Yes. So, what's critical is for you, of course, to set the tone in the first 90 days. You want to have the conversation with your employee and you let them know that, hey, you are on probation. Yes, you are hired. However, these 90 days can either make or break you. You don't have tenure yet. In these 90 days, after this 90 days, you'll have an evaluation and we'll be able to tell if it's a good fit for both parties. It might be not for us. You might say like, hey, this is not what you're used to. And we might say this is not what we're used to. So it wants to be very clear in every language, all the language that is used for this employee. You want to let them know that, hey, you are on probation. Yes, you are hired. However, you are on probation. So that when it comes time for termination, they knew that they were on probation. Now, poorly handling your termination of this employee can ruin your company's reputation. Yes, they will talk. They will. And it's not like back in the day when they talk to 5 people. They're going to go live while leaving. Listen, some of them are so clever, they start recording. Like if they say, hey, we want to have the evaluation. Listen, you're dealing with a group of people right now that are so sensitive that they will record everything. So please note, hiring managers, HR, listen up. And send this to someone who's in HR. If you are having a meeting with an employee, if they have pockets in their pants or shirt, Act as if you're being recorded, because chances are you are. Let me say that again. If you are having a meeting with an employee, if they have pockets, meaning if they're not naked, which they shouldn't be naked, that means they have pockets. If they have pockets, act and conduct yourselves like you are being recorded, because chances are you are. Now, again, this can ruin your reputation if you don't do this the way it's supposed to do. If you don't do it the way it's supposed to be done properly. And again, they're gonna go live, walking out your establishment. Yeah, I just got terminated from this janky company. This is the janky company's car. This is his Tesla while I'm driving a Civic. So you want to handle this by the books. So if you don't, again, it can ruin your reputation. And again, the cost associated with that, you just lost 4 stacks. And again, more negative review, more negative press about your business is not good. So you want to handle it by the books. By the books. No special treatment, no altruism, none of that. Everything is by the books. Let them know for the 90 days that they're on probation, so that when the 90 days comes to an end and they don't make the mark, you say, hey, it was a pleasure serving you. I'm glad we poured into you. You poured into us for 90 days, but it's not a good fit, and we wish you well on your journey. All right, so let's talk a little bit about HR policies and employment law. Now, this is a blanket, or I guess an umbrella, talking about the law of the country. And of course, it's going to be different on your state and your county. So this is a general overview about the law, employment law, for the entire nation. And by the nation, I mean the United States. I know I have a lot of viewers in Australia and the UK, but in this case, I'm referring to the United States of America. All right, so what you want to do is you want to be very clear in your language. Be very clear in your language. In everything, like I said, it's about the book, by the book. But you want to be very clear about the policies, about the grievances, and that about anything that needs to be done concerning an investigation. If they felt that they were terminated wrongfully, you want to let them know, hey, we actually have an outside firm. We have an outside firm so that we're not biased and we don't use our own confirmation biases to handle the investigation. So go ahead, we'll see you in court. That's how thorough you want to be, because you want to know and have no fear that we did everything by the book and everything was documented. That's going to be the second one. Everything was document everything. 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 Yes. You want to document everything. If this employee was late on the second day, document it. If this employee took an hour and 15 minutes instead of an hour for lunch, you want to document it. Because at the end of the 90 days, when you are making your decision on whether this employee stays or goes, you want to have enough ammunition to say, hey, it's not a good fit and it's because of this. On Thursday you were this, Thursday you did this, boom, you did that. You didn't do this when we asked you to do it. You were late again. We gave you a verbal warning. We wrote you up. You got written up on probation. Oh my goodness. So you want to document everything, and you want everything to be very clear about what your policies and grievances are if an investigation is needed. So let's land this plane right now, and yikes. It's not good. All right, so let's land this plane right now and bring it home. So you have the employee. You think you made a good hire. You followed the steps, and you did not ignore the red flags. Ultimately, you want to be sure that this employee is customer centric, meaning they put the company, the customer first. And they learned that by being part of your culture for the last 90 days. They know that you operate this business from a customer-centric point of view. Every decision is based around the customer, not about money, not about rights or DEHI or DEI or no. It's all about the customer first. Period. Not comma. No. Period. We're here to serve the customer, and that employee needs to be almost. You want to hire employees that have batteries already included. So you want the employee to come with that frame of mind already. And of course, they get more of it when they realize that it's part of the culture here. But you want to hire them knowing that, hey, look, I'm here to serve the customer. All right? So you want to hire, a good hire is a customer that embraces the importance of a great customer experience. CX is important to them, and you don't have to sell them on how important customer experience is. And also, you want to be sure that there's an alignment with the employee. You want to be sure there's a good fit. Again, culture is so important. It's not so much about the money. It's not so much about, the perks and we have PlayStations or what is it called? Xbox. None of that. It's the culture. They feel like they belong, and you feel like they belong. That's what makes a good hire. And ultimately, you as a business owner, hiring manager, you are responsible. We're not going to play victim here. Everything that happens in the four walls of this business, it's your responsibility and happens under your watch. So if an employee goes rogue, or turns out to not to be a good hire, the onus is on you. It's not the employee, it's on you. If you had systems in place to mitigate the nonsense, then there wouldn't be any new no hires of poor employees. And when I say poor in function. So the onus is on you. The onus is on your organization. So hey, follow these steps. I hope that you guys learn something, so that we can cut down on the emails and the DMs, and share this with someone who you know cannot keep good employees. Share this with a friend, a business owner that you know that is struggling with keeping good employees, consistently have to deal with new hires, 4,000 a pop over and over and over. Forward this to them. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Costs you nothing, but it really helps the channel, all right? See you guys next time.